cybersecurity threats continue to evolve at an alarming pace. This is Professor Gene Spafford, also known as Spaff. He is a cybersecurity expert from USA, and he once said that the only truly secure system is the one that is powered off, cast in a block of concrete, and sealed in a lead-lined room with armed guards. And still, he has his doubts. So, getting his message, can we really relax expecting that our systems are safe? I don't think so. I hope today's session will give you some valuable insights, and that will help you to upgrade your security measures to the next level. Do you know the predicted loss of world capital due to cyber crimes by the end of this year, 2023? It's 8 trillion US dollars. In other words, the GDP of Sri Lanka is nearly 8 billion US dollars. So it's 100 times of our GDP, the loss of world capital due to cybercrime. I hope you can get the magnitude of this cybercrime. That is not the important thing. Year by year, these cybercrimes are increasing and the cost also increasing. When we compare the last year, it's 10% increase in the next year. What does that mean? That means you have to invest more and more into cybersecurity every year. Then, what are the top 3 most targeted industries for cyber attackers? It's healthcare, financial services, and retail. Those are the top 3 targeted industries for cybercrimes. So, with that, what percentage of your overall IT budget should be allocated to cybersecurity as you think? According to IBM, it should be 9 to 14%. So there are multiple types of cyber attacks. What are the most critical attack types that you should be aware of? Number 1 is malware attacks. Malware is a piece of software that can be a worm, Trojan, spyware, ransomware, or adware, or anywhere. Number 2, that is denial of services or DDoS attacks. Sorry, DOS attacks. DDoS attacks means distributed denial of services. In this kind of attack, what attacker does is he floods the network with false requests so that the business applications and business operations will be disrupted. And number 3 is phishing and spoofing. It's a social engineering technique that they attack Instagram. I hope you have seen. In Instagram, there are messages coming just like our friends asking for help, recover their accounts. So what you watched is the story of Optus. Optus is one of the largest telcos in Australia. And recently, they got a cyber attack. It's a ransomware attack. The attacker was asking $1 million US dollars, email addresses, licenses, license numbers, and all. So this Optus was in a very big trouble due to this attack. That was the story of Tallahassee. Tallahassee is a healthcare chain in Florida, and recently, this year January, they also got a cyber attack, and their systems were down for more than 2 weeks. And all the operations, critical victims, they were transported to other hospitals. This is also a very good example to get an idea of the seriousness of cyber attacks. Let me show you another interesting thing. This is a cyber map provided by Kaspersky. Many security vendors are providing this kind of cyber maps. Here you can see the live attacks happening right now in the world according to their databases. In a free time, you can also have a visit to this website. According to Kaspersky, Sri Lanka is the 37th most attacked country in the world. We are also in a critical situation in cyber crimes. Now let's look at the context of Sri Lanka related to cyber crimes. So recently, very recently, the official Facebook page of Department of Government Information has been hacked. Luckily, it was recovered now. And also, during the Aragale period, there were many DDoS and DOS attacks which was targeted to government as well as private side websites. That was also a good example that we are also in the eyes of attackers. And also, as per the first video you watched, several LK domains and .com domains related to Sri Lanka were also attacked by some attackers, and the websites were on their hand. Luckily, most of them are now recovered. So with that, you can see that cyber attacks which are headed to Sri Lanka also increasing day by day. So it's our responsibility. It's up to us to safeguard our systems by taking suitable measures. Thank you, Santa Kalom, for enlightening us on what kind of a magnitude the cyber attacks are. Sometimes, we might be, complacent in the previous years. The attacks could be, only target the other parts of the world. No, it's not. It's coming to Sri Lanka as well. It has, we can see how it has been targeted the organizations as well as that's what Santa Kalum has elaborated. Now we are going to moving into the next chapter of this webinar, which is going to be the trends. Okay, so we have our another distinguished presenter, an esteemed expert in the field of cybersecurity trends. Today we are fortunate to have her at the shed of light of more pressing, influential cybersecurity trends that are shaping the landscape of 2023. So we've been seeing that how the magnitudes are, how minute the cybersecurity attacks are. Now we can experience the cybersecurity trends which are happening in 2023. With the vast experience and the profound insights, our presenter stands the force that are defining our digital background. So without further ado, I will ask our next presenter, Subhani, to talk about the cybersecurity trends in 2023. Subhani, its virtual podium is over to you.
Now let's see what are the cyber trends and predictions for year 2023. According to the latest predictions, there would be a rise in zero-day vulnerabilities and attacks on supply chains. And also, due to the increasing usage of IoT devices, high probability of having ransomware attacks targeted for IoT devices. The transformation, the APIs are heavily used, and these APIs continues to be one of the most important attack vectors in cyber threat domain. And also, as shown in this image, deepfake videos and audios will be more frequently used by attackers to generate phishing mails in order to generate their phishing attacks. Therefore, it would be very hard to identify what is real or what is fake. Therefore, the users need to legitimate crypto mining. Cryptojacking groups are likely to focus more on cloud-based applications and commit DDoS and ransomware attacks. Therefore, the thing is that just like a normal software as a service offering, there are ransomware as a service offerings also available in the dark web for these attackers. Therefore, these kits, ransomware kits would be promoted using same marketing in other software service models. And also, as shown in this slide, the cost of ransomware service kit can range from a few dollars to a big amount depending on the service. Therefore, it would be available for very cheap price for anyone to generate ransomware attacks. Therefore, in order to have safe and uninterrupted business operations while maintaining the reputation of your organizations, it is highly essential for you to put the correct the cloud services and integrations are essential parts of the tremendous shift of business data, process and infrastructure to cloud computing in the recent years. The cloud helps drive faster time to market, increase productivity, lowers operating costs, and also boosts flexibility and scalability. but it is essential to understand the impact on data security and integrity and confidentiality by this cloud digital transformation and cloud migrations, because it imposes risks such as incomplete data detection, vulnerable cloud applications, and misconfigurations. When we consider the risk and vulnerabilities in cloud adoption, the main identified risk and vulnerabilities are data breaches, data loss, compliance risk, and service outages. In data breaches, attackers would gain unauthorized access to your sensitive data stored in the cloud. And in data loss, due to accidental deletion or loss of data, system failures can happen due to system failures or misconfigurations. There might be cases where you would not be able to in your business operations. Upcoming years will witness attacks on IoT devices, especially with the increasing usage of edge computing devices and cloud ecosystems. This puts more devices at medium to high risk, and they form a penetrable security perimeter involved in the cloud and its associated networks due to its lack of built-in security counter threats. Such business can expect more non-encrypted personal data, hard-coded passwords, software updates from unverified sources, wireless communication security issues, and many more security issues related to IoT deployment. Additionally, growth of 5G networks will significantly increase interconnectivity with IoT, making the security environment more prone to IoT-based attacks. Without industry-wide efforts to combat these problems, hackers will continue to taking advantage of readily available vulnerabilities in the many IoT platforms, such as faulty authentication, unprotected data transfer, cloud misconfiguration, privacy issues, and remote code execution and command injection. As we all know, remote work has become increasingly prevalent, offering employees the flexibility to work from anywhere. Alongside this trend, many organizations have employed bring your own devices or BYOD policies, allowing employees to use their personal devices to work purposes. Even though these benefits are highly, there are a lot of benefits regarding to work from home practices, we should not forget the security risk associated with to various threats such as risk of malware infections, hacking attempts, and data breaches getting increased day by day. Phishing emails have become more sophisticated to a point which even the users can't distinguish between the phishing email and the legitimate email, and the phishing emails are going through the email filters as well. And therefore, it is even more challenging to face these attacks generated by phishing emails, and also the weaker security controls. And your employees might be using their own personal networks, so unsecure public Wi-Fi to connect to the internet. So it also poses a huge vulnerability because your sensitive data can be captured by the attackers, and due to this, the attack surface is also getting expanded. Therefore, it is highly essential to take necessary security measures to avoid any work from home related security vulnerability exposure. In our digital era, government organizations increasingly rely on digital platforms to deliver essential services. However, these systems can be exploited by malicious actors, leading to significant harms and risks. In such incidents, the public trust and confidence and government nation security, economy, safety, and well-being can be put at risk. All government organizations that are defined as public authorities in the Right of Information Act number 12 of 2016 are required to comply with this policy. The heads of government organizations shall be responsible and efficient services delivery within their organization. This policy consists of 4 parts. It's information and cybersecurity policy, minimum information security standards, information cybersecurity implementation guidance, and monitoring and evaluation methodology. These frameworks can guide government organizations to improve their security posture and mitigate risk and protect their valuable information and technology assets.
Thank you, Subhani, for enlightening us on the current trends of cybersecurity landscape. We have seen that she has demonstrated well, whereas the cybersecurity landscape has uh, now becoming bigger and bigger, and we have more into focus a lot more things than what we have anticipated earlier. At the same time, uh, she has well demonstrated about how the government organization as well as the private enterprises has to be more concerned, what are the areas we need to more concern in this year. At the same time, it will evolve year by year. Maybe like next year when we discuss about this one, they might they might have added some more trends into this cybersecurity landscape. So here, uh, now I invite my next presenter, our next presenter, who will be sharing invaluable insights and the best practices of cybersecurity. At the same time, if you have any questions in the last couple of the presentations, as also if you have facing any difficulties in terms of cybersecurity, please post your questions. We are happy to answer end of this our webinar. We have a Q&A session as well. At the same time, now I invite my next presenter, who is going to be here about the best practices where the cybersecurity uh, uh, area. At the same time, understanding of threat landscape, our presenter will highlight the critical importance of the proactive security measures, and also she will address on the key areas such as risk assessment, threat intelligence, access control, and incident response, and many more. I now welcome Engineer Priya, who is our uh, security expert in the operation side. Now I welcome her to the virtual stage. And Priya, it's over to you. Take us to the best practices.
Here are some checklists for a time-proven and new cybersecurity principles and best practices for your organizations in 2023. So, establishing a robust security policy, people-centric approach, and control access to sensitive data, and so on. So, we'll discuss each one of these in detail. First of all, establish a robust security policy. A cybersecurity policy serves as a formal guide to all the measures in your organization. The policy helps your security specialists and the employees to be in the same page. So consider implementing a hierarchical cybersecurity policy, which consists of a single centralized policy domain. So the policy will be designed for each department in your organization, and it will be centrally monitored by a single authority. So each of the department will have the policies according to it. Should not affect the workflow of each department, but should be centralized, monitored centralized. So likewise, you may design your security policies accordingly. So in different fields. So here are some policies we have given: access control policy, remote control policy, backup policies, and also employee onboarding and offboarding policies. And second one is the secure perimeter and IoT connection. So present day organizations' perimeters actually extend behind the firewalls and DMCs, as remote work, cloud environment, and also IoT devices significantly extend the attack surface. So security cameras, doorbells, and the smart locks, the systems in your equipment which are connected to internet directly, so they can be used as a potential attack vector. So a compromised printer, let's imagine. So if someone gets access to a printer, an attacker will be able to view all your scanned and printed documents. So consider securing your perimeter border by protecting the border routers and also screening your subnets. So to reduce the data security risk, you should secure your data separately from the corporate network. And you also should make sure that while using the conventional methods like firewalls and VPNs, you always use a zero trust method, which you don't trust, always you need to verify your employees whenever they need that. The next one is employee people-centric approach. All had a technology-centric approach. So according to this era, we have to change it according to the employee-centric approach. So according to the Verizon's 2022 data breach investigation report, 82% of the breaches happened due to the employee element. So we have to make sure our employees are being monitored, their activities are being monitored, and they are being educated. Have to make sure that person is accessing the data which is required to fulfill the task, and the access is given only for the specific time period. So make sure to give the access at least possible, and you can revoke the access whenever it's not required, and you can add the access on top of that whenever they request a specific task, and if there's a legitimate and valid reason to perform that task. So we have given 3 elements here: zero trust model, which only granted to authenticated and verified users, and principle of least privilege, only given to access the information and resources necessary for legitimate purpose, and also just-in-time approach, which is only given to the right users to certain system and resources, as I mentioned, for a valid reason and for a specific time. And the other one is manage passwords wisely. All the data in your infrastructure. So brute force attacks and social engineering and other methods are used to compromise the details, and organizations often use this password management tools to prevent from this attack. So give preference to password management tools, and also you can practice the best practices of cybersecurity, like use different password for each account, and make sure your personal account and official accounts are being used differently with two different passwords. And also create lengthy passwords with symbols, capital letters, and mostly with the special characters, and use mnemonics and tactics to remember those lengthy passwords, and use password managers. And most importantly, don't share your password with other co-employees, and make sure you change your passwords every 3 months. Privileged users and third-party users with access to your infrastructure have all the means to steal your data. So they'll steal your sensitive data and they'll go unnoted. So unintentionally, this causes so much of cybersecurity breaches. So we can prevent them by monitor the user activity, restricting access to critical data, and also providing one-time password, and also approve the access manually to each one of them. The next one is manage supply chain risk. So your organization's vendors, partners, subcontractors, suppliers, and other third parties with access to your organization resources may be susceptible to supply chain attacks. So in supply chain attacks, cyber criminals infiltrate or disrupt one of your suppliers and use that to escalate the attack to your organization. We can consider the SolarWinds attack caused recently, where they got the access to the network and data of many of the organizations by just inserting a malware in their software update. So some of the fundamental practices for handling this kind of attack are given here. So the fundamental handling supply chain risk are mentioned here. You can have a look. How you manage your business data is critical. So how it determines your privacy and security of your organization. So you may start by documenting information management processes in data management policy. So consider describing how data is collected, stored, and also have access to it. So, and also you have to make sure when it should get deleted, and outline the data protection methods in the data protection policy. And also consider building your data protection measures around the key principles of information security, as we mentioned here: confidentiality, where you have to protect information from unauthorized access, and availability, so it should be available to the authorized people, and integrity, so there shouldn't be any changes made by any unauthorized person in the data flow. And the other one is employee biometric security. So this is the most reliable way to verify a user identity. So here are some examples we have provided, like fingerprint scanners, palm readers, iris scanners, and also face recognition. which we go through even in our day-to-day life. Other one is multi-factor authentication. Actually, multi-factor authentication gives another layer of security in your security environment. So with multi-factor authentication activated, a third-party person will not be able to access your domain. So there should be another way of authentication other than the password, like voice recognition or fingerprint or a security token should be provided to get the access. And the next one is conduct regular cybersecurity audits, which is the most important for an organization. So conducting audits regularly helps you to access the state of the organization's cybersecurity and adjust if needed. So through the audits, we will be able to check the cybersecurity vulnerabilities and risks, compliance gaps, and also suspicious activities by our employees and also the third-party vendors. And also, most importantly, we will be able to secure and maintain the posture of our organization. Lastly, simplify your technology infrastructure. So deploying and maintaining a large number of tools, which is expensive and time consuming. Just imagine, we can't do that, right? So consider having one or a few comprehensive solutions that contain all the necessary information what you require and also which satisfy all the functionality what you meant to do. So this way you will streamline and simplify your security environment, which should be all in one, lightweight, and also easy to manage. So if you want to reduce your cost and your responsible time as well, be sure your solution integrates all the tools you need. So I believe to manage new risks of supply chains, IoT and remote working and also cloud, consider implementing the best practices which we have discussed today. Thank you.
Now we have seen, three valuable presentations, insights, whereas, we have seen, what's happening around the world. And then, we have seen what are the cybersecurity trends in 2023, and later what are the best practices, we can, adapt into. So now I think you might have had, you might have had a good idea where you can, draft your best cybersecurity strategy for your organization. Now we are moving into the short panel discussions. We have, experts from the different areas. Here we have, four experts in our panel. In my left, we have, Nimesh Balasuriya, who is, handling the network security part and the managed security part of our organization. And we have Chalit Priyanka, who is, into the cloud security. I think you might have known him very well. You might have discussing with him on the cloud security. And in the right, we have Shakila Pereira, who is, in the expert in the information security. And also we have Charit Vitanage, who is, doing our SOC operation. He's into, he's from, starting from zero to all the way up to the SOC level. He has the knowledge. Now we are happy to answer your questions. I have not seen any questions, and only one about the act number. We will let you know. And since we have no question in the chat, I will throw some questions to our panel. So I think this is over to Shakila. So we've been seeing the landscape of the cybersecurity is changing and evolving very rapidly. And organizations, must adapt to their and draft their strategy well in order to, protect their organization's wealth and the business growth. So how do you see, what are the actions, they need to, taken in order to mitigate the cybersecurity risk?
We all know that implementing cybersecurity measures are not a one-time task. So it's actually a continuous process. So in order to, implement an robust cybersecurity system, we need to have a mechanism for continuous monitoring. So then only we can detect cyber threats in real time.
That means it's not a one-off project that we can close it. We have to evolve in every time, right?
Every time. Yeah. On the other hand, we should conduct regular risk assessment and vulnerability assessments to identify what are the potential vulnerabilities in our organization. And also it will help us to get some idea about
overall security posture of the organization. Not only that, upon identifying any vulnerabilities, we have to address them in an effective way. We should mitigate them in an effective manner. And also, when talking about information security, there are three main pillars: people, process, technology. So, people or else employees are the weakest link of an organization. So, it's people are a very important factor in an organization. So, we should educate our employees, and we should aware them on cybersecurity best practices so that we can empower them to act as a first line of defense.
So, like, you're talking about the vulnerability assessment. How frequent an organization has to, conduct the vulnerability assessment? There's many answers. It could vary, but what's your thoughts on this?
It's better if you can conduct daily vulnerability assessment. It's the best option. But practically, we know that it's not practical to conduct vulnerability assessments on daily basis. So, based on your number of systems in your organization and the criticality, we can decide the frequency of vulnerability assessments. It shouldn't be same for all the systems. You can identify your critical systems and you can prioritize them, and you can define frequency for each of the systems. So
Okay.
if you can do it on daily basis, it's the best option.
Okay, that means we need to have a continuous monitoring on the
Monitoring,
vulnerability
yeah.
assessments as of now, right?
Yeah,
With the trends.
correct,
Okay.
yeah.
So, Charit, I think you could add more into this. The strategies we should add up. What's your thoughts, Charit?
Yes, actually, as Shakila correctly mentioned, people aspect is a very important aspect when we consider about cybersecurity in an organization. So, as she mentioned, there can be anytime a breach in any organization. We know many organizations have invested millions on their cybersecurity systems and cybersecurity practices. But a small mistake from an employee can drive an organization into an exploited stage. So we should be always ready. A cybersecurity incident can happen in our organization today. So we should be always ready. We should have a proper incident response plan in an organization. If a cybersecurity incident happens, we should know how to respond to that cybersecurity incident. And we should know how to respond to the identified threats in an organization. When we talk about the identified threats, there are certs in Sri Lanka also. There are certs in several sectors, like in financial sector, there are FinCert in Sri Lanka and SL-Cert providing knowledge on threats and latest trends in the.
While you are talking about, there's a question about there's a comment actually. There's no common platform to communicate the attacks in Sri Lanka.
Yeah.
So he has mentioned, most are hiding.
Yeah.
Your idea. They're asking your.
Yes, yes. I was going to tell about that because we need to share our knowledge.
Okay.
We need to share our experience because we need to work together as one to face these cybersecurity attacks. Because we know that in the cyber hackers forums, they work as teams.
Okay.
So we should not work as individuals. We should also work as teams, and we should share our knowledge. So my next point is we should share our knowledge and get the latest updates from SLCert and FinCert about the financial attacks that organizations can face. So we should get these knowledges and strengthen our cybersecurity measures in the organization. Further, AI and machine learning is a trend these days. So I think organizations in today should equip AI and ML also into their cybersecurity practices.
That means we need to have the self-healing aspect into our system.
Yes, into the response part as well as for the monitoring part.
Also.
We can use the AI and machine learning.
Okay. That's interesting. I think I will throw the next question to Nimesh. Nimesh, I think you've been providing the enterprise services to for a long time. So let's assume these days all these organizations are facing this the knowledge migration, right? So, as an organization, they could, sometimes, there might be no person to look after cybersecurity. So, in that kind of a situation, how these Sri Lankan operators, including SLT, how we can give the services to the customer.
Well, it's a good question, Vidyapan. So, as you know, most of the Sri Lankan operators nowadays, they are not just the operators. Like in previous times, where they provided the legacy telephony service and the internet service. So most of the service providers are now managed service providers. So idea behind the managed service is that the provider or the operator manage the customer IT infrastructure on behalf of customer. So especially in security domain, there are so many managed service providers available in Sri Lanka. So and they are providing various type of services to their customers. So as you said, for this kind of skill gap, what customer can is what customer can actually do is that they can get these services from the operators. So what the operators are doing is that operators are managing their security infrastructure on behalf of them. So there are two things. That first thing is that the customer do not need to maintain the skill set on their employee base, and the second thing is that most of the managed security service providers in Sri Lanka are providing these services as a subscription, monthly subscription base. So in terms of cost, that is also very affordable and acceptable thing for the customer. So customer can easily manage their cash flows. So as SLT, we are providing various type of managed security services, especially the managed security firewall, managed DDoS platform, managed SOC, and so many things. So customer can enjoy this service. So that problem will overcome.
Okay. I think I have another question from Sunit. I think you can answer that. What security measures can take to prevent zero-day attack?
Well, it's actually zero-day attacks means the idea behind the zero-day attacks means just now anyone can create an attack. So that's the idea behind the zero-day attack. So with all of these high-tech products like what SLT are providing, so all of these high technological security products are working as a network. So they have their threat databases and their attack databases. All of them are integrated. So even in one side of the world identified a zero-day attack, so what will happen is that if we are using that product, that will update to that product. So but the important thing is that continuous update and the advanced security products the customer should maintain in their network.
Thank you. Thanks. I think we have answered Sunet's question. I think another question, I think it's to Kela. I think this is Sasanga is asking about cybersecurity awareness is most important part of the induction process. Since this is more technical discussion, some users are not in a position to understand how we could overcome this issue. I think you have communicated to multiple users. I think you can share the knowledge, what kind of a measures we can take.
Yeah, the important thing to discuss here is we need to prepare some training program considering the category-wise employees. So for every employee, it is not practical to provide the same set of trainings. So we should identify what are the understanding that they have, and we should prepare the trainings accordingly. So let's say there are some people who are not working with computers. So still they can be insider threat to our organization. Okay. So we should think about how we can provide them the necessary training. So for example, still even though they are not using computers, we can aware them about physical security measures. Likewise, we should identify categories of employees and prepare our training plan according to the employee category.
Okay. Thanks. I think we have answered your question. And next, I think Chalit, I think you've been handling this the cloud area for quite a long time. So we have seen that the customers are using different kind of a security solution. Sometimes what kind of a security aspect they have to focus more when it comes to the cloud.
Well, actually, as the leading cloud service provider in Sri Lanka, we are looking at this cloud security from different layers. From the physical security itself, actually, physical security is one of the most important aspect when we are talking about information security. So we have ensured that our systems access is controlled by comprehensive access control systems through our data centers. In addition to that, if we look at the network level security, that's very important also. We are providing firewall services, and also, as Nimesh mentioned, protection for DDoS attacks, then web application firewalls, then IPS and IDS solutions for our customer services. Most important thing, as you asked, what I believe is the application vulnerabilities. Most of the times, our applications are managed by the customers themselves. So we have to make sure that the vulnerabilities in these applications are removed. For that, we are also supporting by conducting vulnerability assessments, as Shakila mentioned, also sometimes penetration tests based on customer requirements to ensure that their vulnerabilities in the applications are removed or identified, and we have mitigated those vulnerabilities. In addition to that, in the platform level, we are always updating and patching our systems to ensure that software level vulnerabilities are removed from our systems. Sometimes we have seen that customers are using these DR and backup solutions. Also, that those solutions also have helped customers to overcome from security attacks. And sometimes once it is attack has happened, but we have to understand these DR and backups are two different solutions for totally different requirements. So we are also consulting our customers to identify what's the exact requirement based on their business requirements.
That is to make sure the business is continuous.
Exactly. Right? Yes. Because sometimes customers are confusing with this. If we have a DR solution that will ensure the requirements of the DR backup as well, but it's not. Backup is a totally different requirement, and DR is a totally different requirement. So we are also consulting our customers to select what's the most suitable based on their business requirement. Also, we are also following the industrial best practices and to make sure that we are also keeping up with the trends. We have obtained ISO 27001 information security certificate also to make sure that we are also in the track with the industry. Okay. That's how we are ensuring the cloud security.
Okay, thanks, Charles. I think it's a comprehensive, answer. I think we need to, go for a layered architecture in terms of security, as well as, we need to, ensure that the business is, going to continue. I think we have, one more question. I think I throw this one to Charit. I think security solution consultation is future trend. What is an idea about your consultation? He's asking about the consultation. I think as a SOC operation, expert, you can answer. Yes.
Security consultation is very much required for an organization, because some organizations are starting from zero, but a security consultant can give them a head start. What security systems they must implement, and they need to have an idea about the budget they require. So this consultant can help them, but they can get the most efficient solution under their budget. So I think security consultancy is very much important to select products, and also to develop a security strategy, efficient strategy within the organization. A security consultancy is very much important for an organization. So it will help to develop the strategies in an organization, how to respond to cybersecurity incidents, the response plans. The security consultants will help to develop the cybersecurity measures in the organization. So cybersecurity consultancy will help you to improve the cybersecurity measures of your organization and protect against the cybersecurity threats.
Thanks, Charit, for this answer. I think we have answered almost all the questions. At the same time, we are coming into the end of this the webinar. The idea behind this the webinar is to not to share our thoughts. At the same time, as a customer, you might have gone through many incidents in your organizations. I think you can share valuable information to us as well and any other customers, which would give us a better knowledge hub where we can share the knowledge among our customers and many experts, which will help us to improve the security posture of our organization. So thank you for joining this the webinar. This is the first attempt by Sri Lanka Telecom Enterprise to have the security posture of your organization and make make it more strength and we are ready to help us in various ways. You don't need to actually buy our products in order to have the security, but at the same time you can get our knowledge and you can that implement in your organization. So we have come to the conclusion of this webinar. Hope it's informative and inspiring, and you can create your organization security posture well with your strategies that we have elaborated in the last 80-70 minutes. So thank you for joining with us, and we will hope to join with the next session. Thank you so much.